Park rangers are trained to answer every radio call, except a few they're told to ignore. Most of a ranger's job happens over a radio, especially at night. When the trails are empty and the gates are locked, that radio becomes the only connection to the outside world. But sometimes, it picks up voices that don't seem to belong to anyone at all.
Do not approach.
A ranger working a late patrol in a remote forest in Colorado started his shift just after midnight. The park had been closed for hours. No visitors were supposed to be inside. Around 12:40 a.m., his radio crackled. At first, it sounded like normal interference. Static, then silence. Then a voice came through. Calm. Male.
Attention all units.
Asking
Unauthorized
for
activity
directions.
reported near the river trail. Proceed
That
with
wasn't
caution.
unusual. What was strange was the channel. The voice wasn't coming through a public emergency frequency. It was on a ranger-only band. A frequency that requires official equipment to access. The man said he was lost near a trail that had been closed for over 6 months after a rock slide. The ranger responded, asking for a location marker. No reply. Just silence. He tried again. Then, about 10 seconds later, the same voice repeated the exact same sentence. Same tone. Same pacing. Word for word. Dispatch confirmed no one else was transmitting. No missing persons were reported that night. By morning, a search team checked the closed trail.
Advise status. Over.
No footprints. No signs of entry. And no one ever claimed that call. In Northern California, a ranger stationed near a fire lookout tower reported something quieter, but more unsettling. Around 2 a.m., her radio picked up a faint transmission. It sounded like someone breathing. At first, she assumed someone had accidentally keyed their mic. It happens. But the breathing was steady. Controlled. Almost intentional. She asked if anyone was on the line. The breathing stopped instantly. A few seconds passed. Then a soft voice whispered, "Can you hear me?" She answered yes and asked for identification.
Is anyone on the line?
There was a pause.
This is the fire lookout.
Long enough to feel deliberate. Then the voice said, "I'm not where I'm supposed to be."
Can you hear me?
Before she could ask anything else,
Can you
the
identify
signal
yourself,
cut out.
please?
Dispatch ran a
Not where
full
I'm
check.
supposed to be.
No missing rangers. No overdue hikers. No one else heard the transmission. And there was no record of it in the system. In Utah, a ranger on night patrol received a call that sounded urgent. A young woman's voice came through just after
We need
3
help.
a.m.
I think we're near the Chimney
She
Rock
sounded
Trail.
injured, trying to
This is
stay
Ranger
calm.
Miller. Where exactly are you?
She said she had fallen and couldn't
Ranger,
move
do
her
you copy?
leg.
I need help.
She
I'm
gave a
injured and I
location
can't find
near
the
a
road.
popular overlook. The ranger contacted dispatch and drove toward the area, keeping her on the line. She answered questions clearly. Said she had been hiking alone and got separated from her group before sunset. But something didn't add up. The overlook she described is locked after dusk. No access. No exceptions.
All right, ma'am, I need to describe exactly what you see around
There was
you.
no
Take your
record
time.
of any group entering that area that day. When the ranger arrived, the gate was still locked. He asked her to make noise so he could find her. Her voice came back, quieter now. "I can see your lights." But there was no one there. He searched the area anyway. Climbed up past the overlook. Checked every path. Nothing. Then his radio activated again. Same voice. Same panic. Repeating the exact same message she gave at the beginning. As if the entire conversation had reset. By morning, search teams found no evidence anyone had been there. And no missing person report ever matched her description. But one report changed how some rangers respond to these calls entirely. In Alaska, during the winter, a ranger station received a late-night transmission that sounded routine. A man identified himself using a ranger ID number. He said he was on patrol and needed help navigating through a storm. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Until someone checked the ID. It belonged to a ranger who had died 3 years earlier. They assumed it was a mistake. Maybe a reused number. Maybe interference. So they asked him to confirm his identity. The voice responded with the ranger's full name. Calm. Clear. Correct. Then he gave coordinates. Coordinates that matched the exact place where his body had been found years before. No one spoke. The radio stayed silent for a few seconds. Then the voice came back. "Why aren't you answering?" The transmission ended. No follow-up. No explanation. And no one ever claimed responsibility for that call. In Montana, a ranger near a forested trail picked up something even stranger. Late at night, his radio filled with voices. Multiple voices. They sounded like hikers. Talking. Laughing. Calling out to each other. But the trail they were near had been closed indefinitely after landslides. No one was supposed to be there. The ranger tried to interrupt. Asked for identification. The voices didn't respond. They just kept talking over each other, like they couldn't hear him at all. Then one voice became clear. A woman. She said, "We're almost there." And then everything stopped. No static. No fading signal. Just silence. The ranger checked the trail entrance. Still blocked.
Ranger, be
No
advised,
signs
sector is
anyone
clear,
had
but
entered.
proceed with extreme caution. Reports
Later,
of anomalies
when he
in the area.
reviewed the logs, there was no record of the transmission. The last case is the one most rangers avoid discussing. It happened in a national park with an extensive cave system. A ranger was monitoring radio traffic overnight while a small crew worked near one of the cave entrances. Around 1:30 a.m., he received a call from one of the crew members. At least, that's what the ID tag showed. The voice sounded slightly off. Distorted, but still familiar. The caller said they had found something deeper inside the cave. A passage that
Ranger,
didn't
come
exist
in.
on any
Report
map.
status.
The ranger asked for clarification. The response came slowly. "There's another passage, but it wasn't here before." He checked with the rest of the crew. All of them were accounted for. All of them were above ground. No one was inside the cave. He went back to the radio and called again. This time, the reply didn't sound like one person. It sounded like multiple voices speaking at once.
Help.
Trying to form
Ranger,
words
are you
together.
there? The cave.
The
It's
signal
not safe.
distorted heavily,
Something's in here
then
with
cut
us.
out.
Please, find
The
us.
next morning, the cave was inspected. No new passage. No disturbance. And the crew member whose ID had appeared on the call said he never used his radio that night. There's no official explanation for these calls. Most are written off as interference, equipment issues, human error. But the details don't always fit. Voices repeating the same phrases. Calls coming from restricted channels. People asking for help in places where no one is supposed to be. And sometimes, voices that seem to know exactly who they're talking to. Rangers are trained to follow protocol. But even then, there's an unspoken rule. If a call doesn't make sense, you log it. And you move on. Because according to some rangers, those calls don't always want to be found.